Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Boykin, and I am here in beautiful Boulder Creek, California, where the flannel shirt is our state flag, the pit bull is our state bird, and cannabis is our state flower. I am joined this evening by my good friend Jason Carney, who is typing frantically away. Jason, what's happening, man?
Iquecha Ocha, Iquecha Ocha.
Okay, I don't speak German.
White Devil, White Devil.
Whoa,
Ace Ventura.
kill all them white men. Fucking bring it back to No Effects and Punk and Drublick in 1994, some shit like that. Hey, Karen Mitchell, how's it going? Um, so, I think it was yesterday's live stream, but I'm not 100% on that. It could have been Friday's. There was someone in the chat, and I believe it was Chris Walker, who had asked what my opinion on the squad was, and I kind of got into that a little bit. But I have a specific reason to want to talk about them, and it's because of a House vote on House Resolution 3494, which took place on Friday. So it was part of a Friday news dump. It came to my attention like sometime early this morning. But you what?
Appropriations bill?
Sure, it's an appropriation.
Okay. No, I'm looking at it right now. I just wanted to make sure we're looking at the same one.
Let's see. The
Adam Schiff?
Yeah, the Intelligence Identities Protection Act of 1981.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And I've got, and I'll put this in the chat, I've got an article up from about a week and a half ago, or no, Jesus, almost a month ago now, in Consortium News by a friend of the show, John Kiriakou. And really early on, he says, the new bill would expand, the current law called Intelligence Identities Protection Act of 1981 defines a covert agent as any intelligence officer who is serving abroad or who has served abroad in a covert capacity in the last 5 years. The new bill would expand that protection to include all unacknowledged intelligence personnel, even if they have never left the United States. John continues, this measure is... Go ahead.
I'm confused by something. That last sentence really... You can be a foreign agent if you've never left the continental United States.
You can be considered a covert intelligence asset.
Okay.
If you've never left the United States. Now, the CIA is not supposed to operate on U.S. soil, but we all know that they do, and we know that they have, the giant office buildings, server farms, troll farms, whatnot. We know that they recruit openly on the campuses of Ivy League universities. There are CIA personnel here active. It's just we don't talk about it much. We don't like to admit it out loud. But what this means is that anyone currently employed or employed by the CIA for at least the last 5 years, because we haven't got into that bit yet, will have their identity protected. And
it passed 397 to 31.
Yes, it did. As a matter of fact, passed 397 to 31. There.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm gonna find out who the 31 who said no.
Oh, I've got it. I sent that to you. It's the first thing I sent to you in your
Right. No, I suck. It's fine.
Yeah. So the Intelligence Identities Protection Act has only been used twice since it passed originally, and it originally passed. It was written in 81, passed in 82. It was used to convict Sharon Scranage, CIA secretary who had an affair with an intelligence officer in Ghana and had given him the names of all CIA employees in the country and the identities of Ghanaians who were working for the CIA. Fucking whoops. She got 2.5 years in a minimum security prison. John Kiriakou was the second person that this law was used under, and it came in retaliation for him disclosing the CIA's torture program. He never outed a single agent, and he did 2 years. The amount of shit that the CIA has let slide and the amount of people who were not prosecuted under this act include Vice President Dick Cheney and General David Petraeus. So this is selective enforcement at best, right?
Yeah.
Adam Schiff, in case nobody's been able to figure it out for the last few years now, Adam Schiff is a batshit crazy war hawk. He is a hardcore Zionist, and he has cheerled this Russiagate bullshit nonsense from the very fucking beginning. Adam Schiff is responsible for this bill. And again, just so we're clear, what what the bill essentially does. Let's read John's quote.
I can give a real quick summarization.
Well, yeah, but this measure is not at all about protecting the identities of CIA officers doing their jobs. It is about protecting those CIA employees who have committed crimes against humanity. It is a cover-up, end quote. Yeah, got anything to add? Huh?
What I have to add is simply that what did you expect? And especially when I'm not astounded by the bill. I'm not astounded who led the charge on the bill. I'm not astounded by the contents of the bill. What I'm astounded by is 397 to 31. And there's supposedly a bunch of
well, in the first place, there's supposed to be a bunch of fucking far-right, super libertarian, anti-surveillance state, anti-authoritarian, ostensibly the way they market themselves. There's supposed to be a bunch of them in the House, Jason. And there's also supposed to be a progressive caucus. And more importantly, there's supposed to be the squad.
And right? the Progressive Caucus is the largest caucus with the Democratic Party. I think it's somewhere in the 90s. And yet, oddly, the number here that voted nay is 31. Now, I'm not a mathematician, and I'm not sure how far, the Libertarian branch of the Republican, how many people are within that. But I have a strong feeling that the Progressive Caucus dropped the ball and this Libertarian wing of the Republican Party dropped the ball. And they all decided, you know what? Today's opposite day. We're going to vote for this. That's the only sense that makes it. I'm confused when you're essentially creating law that protects people who commit crimes against humanity under the guise of they were doing their job. Isn't that a Nazi thing from the Nuremberg trials?
That is a Nuremberg event. Yes, absolutely. I will give credit where credit is due. The one member of the squad, I can't fucking laugh saying that shit because it's goddamn marketing. But the one member who did not vote for this bullshit was Rashida Tlaib. But patron saint of clapbacks, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and fucking the woman who either herself or whose intern coined the phrase "distraction Becky" to describe Kellyanne Conway. That's Ariana Presley. Which, hey, look, dude, as a dig, distraction Becky. That's good work. That's good work. She also voted for this. And the currently embattled and besieged by death threats, Ilhan Omar, voted for this. And this is probably the furthest right Ilhan Omar has voted since she's been in Congress. And I don't I honestly, at this point, what the fuck does she have to lose? Why would she vote for this bill unless it was some sort of like, hey, fall in line or we're really gonna fucking let these guys after you? I don't know.
Well, I'm looking at HR 394 or 3494, and it is fucking sizable. I mean, Division A Intelligence Authorizations for fiscal year 2020, Title I
Well,
Intelligence
this is the
Activities,
thing,
Section
dude.
101
Real
and
quick,
103.
before you jump in, they tacked on 3 years worth of budgeting into this one bill. This covers 2018 through 2020.
Right. No, there's a report on the death of Jamal Khashoggi in there. There's assessment of intentions of political leadership of the Russian Federation, assessment of legitimate and illegitimate financial and other assets of Vladimir Putin. I mean, and these are subsection titles. So I don't know why she would vote yes. I'm trying to do a quick glance through to see what in any of their right minds or wrong minds would possess them to sense of Congress and report on Iranian efforts in Syria. I mean, there's nothing here that federal efforts against domestic terrorism. Let's see, do they cover the right wing in this country? Annual strategic intelligence assessment and comprehensive report on domestic terrorism, report characterizing domestic terrorism activity within the United States. That's all they have for federal efforts against domestic terrorism. 2 reports. Modifications or requirements for submission to blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything where any progressive would vote for this. I'm not seeing some type of like meat being thrown up and saying, "Oh, here's some type of olive branch. Here's something for you guys or gals, whatever."
No, essentially, what this is a way to just solidify the, I guess, the unspoken lack of rules that the intelligence community gets to operate under.
Hey, there's an establishment of deep fakes prize competition.
Yeah. This ties into a couple of different things as well. The NDAA, we need to do that NDAA episode too, by the way. We just didn't have complete information when we originally talked about doing it. But the NDAA mentions deepfakes too. Part of giving the CIA more leeway in terms of committing these crimes is that we're fully ramping up explorations into the rare earth mineral game. We're going to have to completely overthrow and destabilize countries when we do that. We're in the middle of an AI race with China now, which is fucking great.
And I'll read this to you when you're done.
Okay, yeah, no, go ahead. I'm just saying this is all correlative. But by allowing the CIA this flexibility, given what's also in the NDAA and the things that you were rattling off just now, we're seeing the framework set up for a lot of really horrendous covert operations coming up in the very near future.
Who wants to win $5 million? Let me see a show of hands. Who wants to be $5 million richer? Because Congress has authorized Section 707 of HR 3494, an establishment of deepfakes prize competition. A prize competition pursuant to Section 24 of the Stevenson-Wilder Technology Innovation Act of 1980. The Director of National Intelligence, acting through the Director of Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Agency, shall carry out a program to award prizes competitively to stimulate the research, development, or commercialization of technologies to automatically detect machine-manipulated media. Prize amount. In carrying out the program under subsection A, the director may award not more than a total of $5 million to one or more winners of the prize competition. Consultation. In carrying out the program under subsection A, the director may consult with the heads of relevant departments and agencies of the federal government. And last but certainly not least, machine-manipulated media defined. In this section, the term machine-manipulated media means video, image, or audio recordings generated or substantially modified using machine learning techniques in order to falsely depict events or falsely depict the speech or conduct of an individual, or to depict individuals who do not exist. Now that sounds like it's a positive thing. They're going to figure out what deepfakes are. They're going to be able to get this thing, get it in there, scan it, what have you. My question is, these people go through this program, they develop this technology, it's cutting edge, it's awesome, it detects deepfakes, and the government owns it. So at what point do we have the capability of telling the CIA, the FBI, federal government, law enforcement isn't putting together deepfakes of their own to concoct evidence? and we can't use proprietary, this technology to see if anything's fake from the government end. They can see it from our end, but we can't see it from their end. But hey, if you want to win $5 million.
Well, you're hitting it. You're hitting all fucking points right there. When the first deep fakes started coming out, I don't know if you remember the one like with Obama.
Oh yeah.
Show that it was available technology and shit like that.
That was a really good one. I mean, not good in content, just.
No. Is it my first thought was, oh well, fuck, they're not even gonna need stenographers like Jake Tapper and Chuck Todd much longer. They'll just be able to fucking manufacture confusion in a post-consent reality from a fucking keyboard program. Like, wow, dude. And that's some automation that Andrew Yang is talking about. I'd like to go ahead and mention that. But I mean, really, the ability for the government to have, I don't know, proprietary ownership over this? Is that what we're for your personal best deep fake? The government then owns that, and you're fucking that code, and you're gone.
My assumption is by offering a competition of $5 million to one or more winners of the prize, which is to concoct technology that can detect deep fakes, that I believe would give the government, I believe, it doesn't say specifically, but offering $5 million for the technology, this competition.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense, because that way they can have the program that detects other people's deep fakes. They can fucking do whatever they've got to do to skirt by it, and then they can sell the fucking tech that detects deep fakes through whatever fucking different companies that are already government startups, CIA startups, shit like that are quote unquote private businesses. That, like Palantir for one, they're about to go public and they're fucking neck deep in that concentration camp shit.
Right. If anybody's interested, it's in the bill. It's under Section 707, Establishment of Deep Fakes Prize Competition. If you want to look at it yourself, if you have any questions.
Oh, and since I brought up Palantir real quick, I know that there's like a lot of people that really do not like the guy. And I know that he's currently like trolling the fuck out of Aaron Mate right now. But I'm probably going to have Barrett Brown on the podcast here soon, because he's been going fucking balls deep in on Palantir, and he did 4 years in prison for fucking, he's an insane figure. And I would like the opportunity to interview someone that fucking I don't know, wild, I guess.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
All right, I want to make a comment on that, and I hope, and I firmly believe the audience will back me when I say this. What we do isn't to make people feel better. And by that, I mean, it's not to make people feel like they have a bubble, they're safe when they come here. We'll give them a hug and a lollipop and tell them everything's going to be okay because we agree with you.
I will totally give you a hug and a lollipop, though, whether or not I agree with you. I'm that motherfucker. I am.
But my key point is sometimes we need to bring in people that we despise, dislike, disagree with, just generally, just wholeheartedly are opposed to, because I think our audience needs to hear the other side's arguments when it comes to different issues. And I think when we present it in a forum like this that isn't saturated by corporate dollars with ad revenue, when it's genuine debate between two different sides and the audience can hear the entirety of the argument, I think the audience walks away a lot more aware. I think they a lot more informed. And I don't think they would be opposed to it. And I don't think they would be terribly upset if we got dissenting voices or voices we didn't agree with. I love all the people that we've brought on so far. I love them to death. I think they're great. I may agree with them. I may not agree with them, but I love them to death and what they're trying to do. Sometimes we need to pull people that we disagree with and we can't stand or what have you and be like, hey, you want to go? Let's go. Let's throw down. Let's show the audience that we're here to take on those that are outside of our sphere of influence. So I don't think anybody would be opposed to it. So while I love to death that you had the audience in your thoughts when it came to this particular interview, I think they would be appreciative. And again, you can tell me in the comment section how wrong I am.
No.
I think I got a pretty good idea of our audience.
Yeah, no, I know there's fucking the same thing that's happened to Julian Assange happened to Barrett Brown, where he got hit with a rape allegation and it turned out to be 100% bullshit. And fucking, there's a lot of people that have already made up their mind about him because of the way that the press handled him years ago. Yeah. And he himself is reactionary to that as well. I say this shit because obviously you wouldn't be surprised if fucking Barrett Brown's face was, in the thumbnail and it said Slow News Day with Barrett Brown. Like, obviously that would be the interview. It's the same way with Jared Beck, but I let people know ahead of time because of what you're talking about. Like, there's people who have been through some shit, and whether or not I personally agree with or like them, they've got a point of view that resonates because of the truth that they brought to it. The scope of their experience determines their reality, right?
Right. And the thing is, for transparency, I was one of those people that were supporting freedom for Barrett Brown and others that were when the anonymous crackdown occurred. And people were being thrown in for trumped up bullshit into prison. Just for transparency, I don't necessarily agree with things that he had said, but I agreed with the aims of what he wanted to do when it came to transparency.
Absolutely,
commentary on certain aspects. So for me, I think you should do it. If you have the opportunity, let the man speak, because it goes right alongside with the persecution of Julian Assange and others who have decided to stand up and fight against the system. I think our audience would be down for that completely.
And then Jack from Twitter gives Unity for Jay their account back and still leaves half of their operational support staff suspended and shit. And I'm like, well, that's fucking stealing somebody's ship and bringing it back and being like, here's your ship. I kept the crew. Later. Fucking have fun with this one guy. Now you get to vet everyone else again. You just fuck you. Go to hell. Right. And again, I mean, that's why I want fucking people that are I want to say sort of a I don't know, symbiotic isn't the right word. I understand where these guys are coming from. I've been locked up is what I'm trying to say. And I know people that have been through and I've been through just unimaginable hells outside of that. I really shouldn't be here. Having said that, when somebody is obviously fucking been through the ringer more than I have in terms of John Kiriakou went to actual fucking federal prison. So did Barrett Brown. I was, in the Atlanta City Detention Center or Clark County Jail or fucking Orleans Parish Prison, which is a jail, not a prison, shit like that. For an amounts of time that I was not personally okay with, but not for years or anything like that. It was fucking it's like Johnny Cash writing about being in Folsom Prison, but only having been to jail once or twice, kind of thing. I'm not trying to compare myself to that. I'm just saying I get it. That was a long walk. I fucking get it. I get their kind of fucking I get where they're coming from. And when Jared Beck was on the show, Jared Beck is supposed to be a fucking monster, right? To everybody. And he was fucking laughing and shit. It was not that monsters can't laugh, but fuck, man, I don't know, dude. I don't see Jared Beck as a monster. I don't see Barrett Brown as a monster. I think they'd be interesting conversations to have on the show. Welcome, Jilly. Yes, as a matter of fact, the squad does support the CIA. At least 3 out of 4 of them AOC, Omar, and Presley all voted to support this House bill that gives ridiculous amounts of protection to the CIA.
I'm glad you brought it back around to that, because I'm scanning through this as we're talking. Section 712, report on best practices to protect privacy and civil liberties of Chinese Americans. The People's Republic of China appears to be specifically targeting the Chinese American community for intelligence purposes. Such targeting carries a substantial risk that the loyalty of such Americans may be generally questioned and lead to unacceptable stereotyping, targeting, and racial profiling. The United States government has a duty to warn and protect all Americans, including those of Chinese descent, from these intelligence efforts by the People's Republic of China. I have a feeling we might go back to the internment camps of 1942 with this little piece. It looks nice that they want to warn Chinese Americans, and then it looks like they're targeting them, because this isn't a hot topic in the mainstream anything. This isn't a hot topic anywhere. When did it become the need for the United States government to A, question the loyalty of any Chinese Americans, or B, purport something that isn't happening right now? It seems like by doing this, it's targeting Chinese Americans to create this narrative that there's potential for their loyalty to be questioned, because they are, quote unquote, a potential target by the People's Republic of China.
Well, you know, we want
agent. Does that seem a little weird to you? Because that strikes me as weird as I'm reading through this.
Oceania has always been at war with East Asia, Jason.
But it gives me a 1942 vibe, man. I feel like this is Japanese internment camp all over again. Just because you are of Chinese descent, somehow your loyalty is questioned. Aren't we innocent until proven guilty? I mean, unless you have a preponderance of evidence that these people have committed any crime.
Well, okay, look, here's what this opens up the door for. This opens up the door for some other progressive legislator like Ro Khanna or somebody like that to Silicon Valley's seat, right? For Silicon Valley's seat holder to be like, well, okay, look, we tried it this way. Turns out this way we were accidentally targeting, the country that has the world's largest population, and it was pretty racist and unfair of us. So we're going to adopt their social credit score system, and it'll be much more even that way.
Ooh. First, I want to ask a question before I go into this next one. So am I not nuts for reading that into that particular piece?
I mean, it just seems like the groundwork could be laid for it. It really does.
It's to come across like they're protecting Chinese Americans, but the question isn't there. What are you protecting them from? The American people do not believe that Chinese Americans are plants for the People's Republic of China. So why would you do this unless you're trying to introduce into the lexicon, into the national conversation, that there is potential for Chinese Americans to be plants of the People's Republic of China? That's the problem that I'm having, the connection.
So, okay, this goes back to that. This goes back to the NDAA. This goes back to our new rare earth mineral race. This goes back to, do you know that one of the things that we're talking about doing to create our own rare earth minerals is fucking like coal pulverization and creating rare earth minerals out of coal dust? Like, that will reopen mountaintop removal, mining, and all kinds of horrific shit, all in the name of rare earth minerals. And when people throw a fit, the State Department's going to go, well, okay, since you don't want us to do it here, looks like we got to go liberate a country.
Instead of actually just trying to find technologies that don't require the use of these particular minerals.
Yeah.
I know, it's a crazy concept. Now, if you look at Section 713, intelligence assessment of relationship between women and violent extremism.
Go on.
This makes me think of that Million Mom March that occurred. And I don't know if there was a Million Moms there or a Million Women March or whatever it was right after Trump was elected. But, okay. The historical trends and current state of women's varied roles worldwide in all aspects of violent extremism and terrorism, including as recruiters, sympathizers, perpetuators, and combatants, as well as peace builders and preventers. So first off, we're going to label women with every job in terrorism, and then at the end of it, we're going to say, but there's some that are peace builders and preventers. However, rules of all aspects of violent extremism and terrorism are likely to change in the near and medium term. The extent to which the unequal status of women affect the ability to armed combatants and terrorist groups to enlist or conscript women as combatants and perpetuators of violence. How terrorist groups violate the rights of women and girls, we all agree with that, including child, early and forced marriage, abduction, sexual violence, human trafficking, and the extent of which such violations, including genital mutilation, I'm adding that part, such violations contribute to the spread of conflict and terrorist activities. They're analyzing. There's something that strikes me as odd about this too. It's like they're breaking down every segment of the population and seeing how best they could arrest them.
Yeah. Well, again, because that's exactly what China's social credit score and social credit system does. Where the same time that Brett Kavanaugh was getting grilled and Kamala Harris was getting fucking soundbite points and everybody was getting soundbite points, Google was meeting with a different Senate Intel committee to talk about China's facial recognition program, their social credit score, how they've advanced in these technologies, and how to best bring them to this country. And real quick, by the way, like Susan Blaley Ford and Brett Kavanaugh, like both of their dads still golf together. They're both very much intelligence agency families. I think at least they themselves are like third generation fucking with, you know, old DC law enforcement and intel ties. And they played out a grand distraction and got fucking people, that Million Woman March, dude. I took so much shit because I was like, hey, look, when your protest has corporate sponsors, it's not a protest, it's a parade. And if you're gonna throw a parade and celebrate the fact that at least several of you know how to knit, like, great. But if you're gonna make it political, at least make it about something. They had a fucking Seinfeld parade, dude. It was a parade about nothing. They had Debbie Wasserman Schultz keynote one of those motherfucking speeches.
Can you do me a favor? Do you have HR 3494 up yet? Take a look at section 714. And definitely look at 4, 5, and 6 under section 714. It's right up your alley. We've had discussions about this.
Where we go? Motherfucker. What am I looking at? Section what? 704? 714. Come here. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we did.
4, 5, and 6.
An analysis of the ability of the intelligence community to use facial recognition technology to identify individuals in a way that respects constitutional rights, civil liberties, and the privacy of such individuals, not later than 1 year after the date of the enactment of this act. That's where we are. The DNI shall submit to the Congressional Intelligence report on the use of facial recognition technology. And then 6, identification of risks and safeguards to uphold the constitutional rights. Identification of risks and safeguards to uphold constitutional rights, blah, 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 including for communities of color and religious minorities.
And then 7, whether such technology is deployed in public areas or on photos of public areas in a manner that could raise First Amendment concerns.
And this is ridiculous because we're already there, because San Francisco has already banned facial recognition technology in public, is what they say, but that doesn't mean that private companies can't do it and then sell it to the fucking city.
Number 8's really interesting too. An identification of existing policies, procedures, or practices that permit the sharing of facial recognition data and technology with foreign governments or other non-United States government entities. Does anybody see what this is adding up to?
Well, I mean,
this is a conspiracy theory. I'm reading HR 3494, Section 714. Anybody can look it up right now.
you know, it sounds like it's creating a blueprint to make sure that everybody's spied on and the people that reveal it spend a long time in prison.
It's and then Section 715. I mean, we could keep going all night on this. 715 is a report on deepfake technology, foreign weaponization of deepfakes, and related notifications. This is a continuation of 713. It's Jesus Christ, man. Rule of construction with respect to certain crimes relating to terrorism, report on international mobile subscriber identity catchers and United States national security, whistleblowers' disclosures to Congress and committees of Congress. Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, if we were just to go, we could do an entire week's worth of shows off HR 3494.
Yeah.
I want to make a suggestion to people who are watching right now and who share this. You could go and look up HR 3494 and start scanning through this yourself, and you'll be amazed at the audacity of some of these far-reaching attempts and questionable attempts at creating a conversation that isn't there against particular groups of people. This is astounding.
No, it's laying the groundwork for upcoming wars in a way that you would really have to dig around in there and look at it in order to put it together. I don't. Yeah, 31 people voted against this. Oh, and by the way, I double checked too. Ro Khanna also voted for this and supported this.
No.
The original Justice Democrat, Ro Khanna.
No.
It sounds weird, but yeah, and again, AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Ariana Presley all voted for it. Rashida Tlaib did not. So, you know, props to her for that. But I really, when I'm looking at the list of people that voted no, like there's 7 people that are maybe lean progressive. Barbara Lee, you know, but my representative, fucking Jimmy Panetta, sure as fuck voted for it because his dad's Jimmy Panetta.
Do me a favor. I guarantee you I know the answer to this. See what Barra voted.
Who?
Ami Barra out of Sacramento, or actually Rancho, blah, blah, blah.
Barra.
Yeah.
And Tulsi Gabbard did not vote on this bill.
I wonder why.
Barra voted for it. Tulsi abstained.
I know Barra. I know he did.
Nobody else running for presidency. You know who didn't vote for this is Louis fucking Gohmert.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't vote.
And Justin Amash, the Republican that just quit the Republican Party to be an independent, so he can make a lot of money on it.
Or didn't vote at all. He abstained. Which one?
No, Amash did not voted no. Voted nay.
Well, that's consistent with his stand. He's a libertarian.
Yeah, like I said, he's only one of the few. We've got the Libertarian caucus they're in the Tea Party or some shit like that, you know, and they're the largest block of Republicans in the House of Representatives. So for like 7 Democrats and what would that make that 24 Republicans to vote against this? I mean, not only is that a betrayal of your supposed principles, it's doing it in a fashion that is particularly insidious because, again, this was part of a Friday news dump. A lot of people aren't supposed to know about this. You're supposed to release this information when everybody's going out and, you know, coming home from the work week and shit like that. Yeah.
That's why we're here. We don't let this shit go by the wayside.
And the marketing, and again, the marketing has these women as progressive champions, and that fucking, it's, you know, a lot of people are fucking forgetting, and Katie Halper is not one of those people, by the way. I saw her on George Galloway's show this morning. She brought some fucking heat.
I love Katie. Anyone got a problem with Katie, got a problem with me.
Nancy Pelosi is the reason that Trump gets to criticize these women in the way that he does, without Nancy Pelosi teeing it up for him in such a way that he was able to pick the ball up and fucking run mixed metaphors like a motherfucker right there, in such a way that he could use it to where he's got a crowd chanting "send her back," which makes that the distraction when all of these motherfuckers just work together. The one who needs to get sent back, the one who wanted her to sit down and shut up, and the ones that fucking are fundraising off of Islamophobia all voted to protect the CIA, while fucking the squad is getting fucking music videos made for them, and fucking Donald Trump is getting lambasted, and fucking Nancy Pelosi is ducking for cover. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I totally agree with the idea of saying that I'm looking at an article right now that Vice President Mike Pence is not pleased with the center back chance, but he refuses to admonish anybody over it. The scum that are saying send them back need to be sent back to whatever third world fucking grovels. Oh, wait, they're mostly Norwegian and European. My bad. They need to be sent back there and see how it goes. I agree with Trump being demolished for overt racism, gaslighting, and dog whistles. What I don't agree with is that you're not going to see this on TYT. You're not going to see this on that other dipshit Kyle Kalinski's program. You're not going to see.
I'm Hartman's Padawan, Kyle Kalinski.
I'm not seeing anything from anybody about HR 3494 in the sections that we talked about. And that's the surface, people. That's why
okay,
I say
so here's the thing, man. I don't know if the audience realizes this or not, but before we go do a show, I take a lap around progressive media to see who's covered what. And if there's somebody that's, if there's a particular thing that's just getting beat to death, dude, I really don't care. I'll tell Jay in pre-production, no, I don't want to fucking talk about it.
Right.
I don't. Sorry. This is shit that we've already said we're not. This isn't a fucking horse race show. This isn't a commercial for your favorite politician. This is going to govern. This is going to cover whoever's fucking bought the horses and how the race is being rigged and fucking. And that's what we're doing here. We've got this great fucking marketing scam called the Squad, and again, they're gonna be allowed to present legislation, but the legislation they present, like the Green New Deal, is end user fucking punishing. It's already been corporate sanitized. It's already gone through fucking 8 different rewrites by lobbyists by the time it ever fucking gets to Merkley's hands. Like it's so light years away from what Howie Hawkins co-wrote in 2010. They wouldn't be getting this attention from every sphere of fucking media if they were truly trying to make the world a better place.
Let me throw in, I don't jive with the conspiracy theory community. That's one of the fun parts about us, is that you're willing to dabble in that arena with me. I dismiss it 99% of the time. I think my public record, broadcasting, writing, everything else will back up the notion I don't believe in conspiracy theories. So when I present this, take it for what it's worth. I believe that Trump is one half of that marketing scheme. Distract, 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 distract. I also believe, since Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer couldn't tap into the younger demo when it came to their opposition and how they spoke out against Trump, etc., they need to find a couple other individuals who may be closer in age range, who may be tech savvy, and who may be capable and lauded for taking on Trump. And you have your combatants there that could distract. As you said, as something HR 39 or 3494 passes, without anybody covering it. As you said, they're talking about making music videos for these 4 individuals. One apparently is the only one so far holding up progressive values. That'd be Representative Presley of Massachusetts.
She voted for this thing, though.
I'm
Preston
bothered.
did. Huh?
I'm bothered because we're already split on the left. I mean, go into the Marxist community. I'll be the first person to say I spun off and did my own thing because I'm not a fucking Stalinist. I saw the Stalinism within the American Marxists to be deeply and profoundly disturbing. I'm not now, nor have I ever been a Stalinist. I'm not a supporter of Stalin. So I called them out for that shit. I saw fracturing there. I see fracturing in the progressive side. I see fracturing in everything on the left, whether you be a communist, a socialist, a progressive, green even. We need to figure this shit out because setting up Team Red versus Team Blue is very tribalistic. It's part of what's going to be in my article when it comes to social identity theory. And it's perpetuating the status quo. It's ensuring that neoliberalism survives, that capitalism as is survives, that it ensures that the rich get richer, the elite class stay the elite class, that's your corporate, political, and wealthy, the wealth class, ensuring that they have power and giving face time to those that say they're against that, but go and vote for things like HR 3494. And again, I haven't been able to scan the entire bill. It is fucking huge. And if I find something that may have appealed to AOC and the other two representatives, I'll be the first to say, okay, I can see, here's what I found. Maybe this is why they voted for it. But as I sit here right now,
I'm gonna just go ahead and say no. I haven't read the whole bill yet either, but I'm gonna go ahead and say no, and here's why. We've got historical precedent of progressive after progressive lining up with the establishment when it comes time to vote for appropriations bills that go for black ops, sanctions, wars, troop increases, military fucking any military spending, any Pentagon spending, any fucking DoD research. It's what they fucking do when they need to line up for goddamn DARPA or the fucking CIA or the Pentagon or fucking Raytheon, what have you. They fucking do it in a second, and it's that's why all these votes are 397 was the Patriot Act was almost unanimous. Every fucking appropriations bill, every NDAA reauthorization, dude, they're all just fucking lockstep with that shit. And it doesn't hurt anyone for a small minority of these people to say, oh yeah, this is terrible. No, because they get to retain that seat and they get to take money and help facilitate tax cuts, or they get to take money and they help facilitate extending fucking the Affordable Care Act.
Well, here's my thing. I can't stand the American Fascist Party. I mean, Republicans. And there's no worse Republicans on the face of the planet than Trump supporters. I mean, Tea Party activists. But the one thing I have to give them credit on is that they stood on their quote-unquote principles and forced their party to shift to the hyper-fascist side that they are today. These progressives were supposed to force the Democrat Party to cut their bullshit with their corporate-loving policies and their warmongering and their et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yet here I see 397 to 31. How is that putting your foot in the ground, drawing a line in the sand, however you want to phrase it, and saying the Democratic Party will go Republican no more? How is that? How does that qualify as standing up to the powers that be with truth?
Because it doesn't, and you can't square it, but you have to understand that the Justice Democrats, and I know you do, the Justice Democrats are there to take Nancy Pelosi's throne. They're there to take her power, not to reform the party. Nancy Pelosi knows this. That's why she's fucking pissed off at him. She knows that she's only got X amount of time that she can actively serve anyway. You know?
Allegedly 2 years.
So she's going to hold on to every little scrap of power that she's amassed over a very long career of fucking taking a lot of corporate money, and doing a lot of favors for war criminals and doing a lot of favors for fucking dictators and doing a lot of favors for fucking companies that violate our civil rights and liberties every single day.
Do me a favor. So this goes to the audience. HBO had this great movie that they put out, Too Big to Fail. And it shows you just how complacent, literally, Nancy Pelosi was in helping to support the bailouts of these companies, of the banks, of the auto industry, things of that nature.
She's a $100 millionaire.
Oh, no, I'm not. I just want people, to go, if they want a good movie that's entertaining, but pretty close to factually accurate, HBO's Too Big to Fail is a fantastic movie. It does give Henry Paulson a sympathetic light, which I disagree with, because this is a product of exactly what he wanted. 2008 was. But it also shows that the Democrats were clamoring. It wasn't the Democrats that had an issue with Too Big to fail. TARP, I believe it was. The bailouts. It was the Republicans. And it was a hard sell to the Republicans to get this passed. Now, if Nancy and the rest of the Democrats were truly for the workers, for the people, and not for the corporations, she would have put her foot down and joined alongside with those Republicans for different reasons, obviously, and said, you know what? You wanted your capitalism. You wanted your laissez-faire crony capitalism to exist. Let them fail, because that's what you're supposed to do with Adam Smith's capitalism, if I'm not incorrect. The strong survive, social Darwinianism. So you let those die, and we'll see where we wind up. But they did.
That was Ron Paul's argument at the time, 100%. And I think even at that time, it was an argument that Dennis Kucinich was at least espousing, if not willing to follow through with. I know he wasn't in Congress then, but he was a voice on the left that I believe advocated let the fucking banks fail. But no, you're right. It was an easy sell because you've got senators in fucking like Chris Dodd. You've got the influence of Joe Biden as senator at that time, about to become vice president, who is the fucking Delaware's where all of the fucking banks, credit card companies, predatory lenders, whatever have
Delaware,
their fucking American.
Those are the two states.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically their little, Cayman Islands on shore.
Can I throw something real quick, though?
Yeah.
I want to be absolutely clear to the audience and to anybody else who's picking this up. I'm not saying the Republicans were great people. They were wanting the banks to fail because of their religious devotion to crony capitalism, to capitalism in and of itself. It wasn't a noble act that the Republicans did by opposing it. They wanted their little religion to follow through. It's like their end times prophecy for Christians. That was 2008 for them. So that's the only reason why they opposed it. But I only bring it up because I want people to see that Nancy Pelosi and the establishment Democrats that exist never had the well-being or the protection of the American people anywhere close to their top 1,000 reasons of why they do what they do. And you watch that movie, Too Big to Fail. I can't stress it enough. It was a fantastic movie. A lot of great actors in it. Again, they put Henry Paulson in a sympathetic light. Subtract that because that scumbag got what he deserved. But at the end of the day, you watch that and you see that the Democratic caucus at the time did not oppose the bailouts. They did not oppose saving corporate America.
And these are the same people that would go on to capitalize off of writing toothless legislation like Dodd-Frank, or fucking legislation paid for by the securities and financial industries like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. There's people, I'm sorry, we were walking around legitimately believing that Barack Obama saved people from 2009.
He saved capitalism.
Well, he saved a kind of capitalism for a handful of people. But
President Obama and the Republicans They help create the gig economy where you need 50 jobs just to pay rent. Forget food, forget medication, forget health insurance, forget having the ability to save up for retirement. Forget any of that. The Republicans and Democrats, including former President Obama and his administration, helped to formulate and facilitate the gig economy, which we could all look at right now as the worst form of cancer when it comes to capitalism, because it gives employees no protections, because most of them are independent contractors and are not subject to the same protections and benefits of full-time employees.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, it's patternistic among neoliberal Democrats, and especially since Bill Clinton, to where their job seems to be ushering in the next new bubble economy.
Yeah. Since 99 with the tech bubble, and then 2008 with the housing crisis.
They exploit the working class as much as possible. They fucking lose badly in terms of legislative seats and the presidency, regardless of how rigged that may be. The Republican president gets to fucking pass as many tax cuts and start as many wars publicly as they can get away with. And then they come up with this really horrific legislation that the next Democratic president then has to pass by, participating in the hard work of governing. And that's why you have the Heritage Foundation's health care bill. That's why you have the repeal of Glass-Steagall and the passing of Gramm-Leach-Bliley. That's why you have NAFTA and GATT and the crime bill and the Patriot Act, which Joe Biden still takes credit for. I wrote that 95 omnibus crime bill.
Yeah, a lot of African Americans, Latinos, and others are so thankful that you did there, Uncle Joe. You did a great job at furthering discrimination, extrajudicial police killings, and allowing the police to run amok, our judicial system to become more racist, to become more xenophobic, to become more incredibly powerful when it comes to mandatory minimums, which are a crime against humanity when it comes to certain components of the law. Yeah, Joe, you did a great job. You did a great job at helping to turn this nation into the largest prison state in the world, and to help fill those beds to the private prison industry with young African American and Latinos. Great work there, Joe. I'm honored and privileged that you are representing the Democrat Party. You are such an astounding American figure. I think they have space on Mount Rushmore for your head. I think they do. You are just, I salute you. Was that not appropriate? I apologize.
Fuck. No. It's cool. I think out of all the people who would volunteer themselves for Rushmore, like they're Joe Biden's in a line on that one, and he's not at the front of it, but by any means. Even in terms of looking at it,
I hope everybody got that as sarcasm.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, even Biden would probably be like, we need a fucking mountain for vice presidents, and I'm going to be the first face on it, rather than he would be like, I'm going to be on Mount Rushmore, And then we'll put like, I want you to show me with a full head of hair! A full head of hair!
We'll make it Biden, Agnew, Nixon, and LBJ. That'd be great for starters. I think that'd be super for a Mount Rushmore of vice presidents. I think I could get behind that. God, how is this guy ever a front runner, other than being tied to former President Obama?
Because the polls are completely fucking manufactured. And the media has once again been directed to elevate, this time, Joe Biden, because nobody else worked out for a little bit. But apparently they realized how bad Biden is. Otherwise, Kamala Harris wouldn't be able to spend months in fucking debate prep waiting for him to walk into the busting thing so she could spring a completely scripted response. that was supposed to make people be like, "Oh, she bad."
Well, then
you know,
Warren would
like,
be backing on Senator Sanders. I mean, that's hilarious too. Neither Senator Harris nor Senator Warren would be where they're at right now if the DNC did not do a repeat of taking Hillary, former Secretary of State Clinton, former Senator of New York Clinton, however you want to phrase it, and putting her up against the cacophony of people saying, no, don't do it, being tone deaf to their own electorate. They're doing it all over again. And we're supposed to still vote blue no matter who. And we're supposed to feel bad when Democrats cry and moan and say, oh, you're just going to give Trump 4 more years. No, you're giving Trump 4 more years by, again, putting up candidates that are not at all in the best interest of the American people. We're past this vote red blue. We're post-tribalism at this point. 24% and 20%, 26% of this country can't seem to get past red versus blue. The rest of us are like, fuck off. The independents, the people who aren't associated with the Democrat Party, who aren't associated with the Republican Party, fuck your red versus blue, fuck your tribalism, get on ball, get on page, because we're tired of the minority of the country being in charge.
So
I know that was a fever dream. I'm sorry, I was hallucinating. I thought we were in a different alternate reality. My bad.
We don't live in that timeline.
Yeah.
When that marmot got stuck in the Large Hadron Collider in 2012 and made it hard reset, we got sent into the timeline where the fucking Simpsons get to predict the future, and we just gotta fucking roll with it, apparently, until we like figure out how to fucking get another marmot in that motherfucker, or like collectively ascend. I'm not sure which. I don't know. I am marmot shopping at the moment. I'm just not sure how I'm gonna get anywhere near the collider.
Can I be real with you? You know what my hopes, dreams, and aspirations are? In November,
to get to the Large Hadron Collider with your own marmot.
What's that?
Is it to get to the Large Hadron Collider with your very own marmot?
Al Smith would have won. Upton Sinclair would have been our first socialist president. Teddy Roosevelt would have been run out of this country. How further should I go? How much further should I go? OSI would have been a department of paper pushers. Let's see.
W.E.B. Du Bois.
Oh, hell yes.
Oh, yeah, no. Fuck, dude. I got off the little track there with the marmot thing. I apologize.
You drew me. You know I love my LAFC talk.
We were talking about something. I know we were.
We were covering Biden, Vice President Rushmore.
So look, because Kamala Harris has been allowed to publicly go after Biden on a debate, and because they put them together again without Bernie Sanders, like the only person that's going to be able to even tap into the otherwise asleep or completely planted audience,
is it Tulsi in that first?
Will be Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
So, but Biden and Harris are on the second night. On the first night, it's Sanders and Warren and Buttigieg and Beto, and then like a couple of idiot moderates, and that's like it. You know, that's the 10. But it's set up to where Elizabeth Warren gets to deliver Bernie Sanders' platform and plans, and then Bernie Sanders gets to be like, oh yeah, I guess I agree. You know, and if he's like, I agreed when I wrote it and it was my platform 4 years ago that she didn't support, they're gonna be like, why do you hate all women, you fucking Jew? You know?
Oh, I would love how many pieces come out about his tone. and how he yells at women. I guarantee you there'll be 5 articles just in Politico alone about how
So that's what they're hoping
yells
for.
at women.
They're hoping for a snap. They're hoping that Warren so effectively covers Bernie Sanders' greatest hits that he's finally like, that's my shit. Yeah, it was my shit the first time. It's still my shit. What the fuck? Where were you? We had a fucking deal, you son of a bitch. You fucking put on matching pantsuits and he went out there and you fucking, why? You're an asshole. They're hoping for that. That's what
I'm kind of hoping for that.
What all the moderators.
That'd be great. I mean,
That's what all
he's
the
always been
moderators
so
are going to be going for.
to Senator
They're going to
Warren.
be like,
Senator Warren is like that annoying fucker that sat behind you and didn't study for the test and is copying off you. That's what Senator
well,
Warren
always
is.
has their hand up first. It was $15 an hour minimum wage.
Right?
Jake Tapper or fucking whoever the moderator is.
Right. And good news on that. Apparently that passed.
Medicare for all. That's the House.
Oh, all in the House. Yeah, HR 583 raised the wage act.
Oh, yeah, to $15 an hour by 2025, when $15 an hour will be worth like $7.
I was hoping you would get the sarcasm that I was about to relay.
Bang up job, guys. Way to fucking do absolutely nothing and fucking knock yourselves over, patting yourselves on the back. You fucking bought worthless fucks.
Well, it's just like Elizabeth Warren's housing plan. I'm going to reduce over the next decade 10% to renters and mortgage. How in the holy hell and high fuck, me not even being a mathematician, can figure out that is nada? That is not any net savings for any person on the face of the planet, unless you're a multimillionaire renting a place that's like $30,000 a month.
Yeah, about that. You know what would be neat to see out of any of these fucking presidential candidates or any of these high profile progressives or anything like that is fucking we're going to take whatever political capital we have and we're going to come to your town and we're going to host your city council in a fucking conversation about rent control. That's what we're going to do.
Senator Harris is from the great state of California. I don't know why she isn't going to San Francisco, to Sacramento, to Santa Cruz, to Los Angeles, to Oakland, to Redding, and shall I keep going with city by city in the state of California and not asking what can we do about the housing crisis and not some 10% bullshit over a decade that is nothing. Help me understand. Senator Harris knows that this is an issue.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren's fucking I'm gonna reduce your rent plan is essentially the Democrats' I'm gonna fucking raise the minimum wage plan. Like by the time it's rolled out and the fucking money is in your hands, you're like, this did absolutely fucking nothing for me. I can't believe
That's not true. You could buy a Snickers bar. You could buy one more Snickers bar than you could have the last year. So let's be real. That's really
unless they raise the price of Snickers by the time I get to the store, or the price of gas on my way to get to the store.
I don't know how it is in Santa Cruz. I know in Sacramento we're looking at $3.55.
I mean, fuck, dude. By 2025. We're $15 an hour is really going to be worth less than what you would have to spend to wipe your ass with it.
Right. It's cosmetic. It's cosmetic. It's supposed to be chum to the progressives. What you need to do is state by state look at the cost of living and inflation and the cost of housing, the cost of every component of your life in your state, and start a grassroots to change it state by state. The state of California needed at least $28 an hour. At least $28 an hour on a 40-hour work week to even come close to covering housing, food, etc.
And that's for one person. Let's
Now
be
that's going to
clear
be
about
different in
that. That's for
Oklahoma.
one individual.
I'm sorry?
$28 an hour for one person to meet.
Right, that's why I said 28. I'm assuming a family of 5.
Yeah. And then when you factor, when you factor kids in that, it's like bare minimum Santa Cruz County, $4 to $6 grand. And really, that's only if you never have an emergency. And depending on what grocery store you go to, or like how little electricity you use. Well, I mean, we have a
you
wood
know what
burner,
middle class in San Francisco County is, right? Someone told me this, and I was astonished what middle class is considered in San Francisco County, which is the city of San Francisco. $356,000 a year is considered middle class in San Francisco County. Ladies and gentlemen, everywhere else that puts you in the top 5 to top 3% of earnings. That's what tax bracket you'd be in. That's where you would live at $356,000 a year. The hyperinflation and the artificial inflation of value, and don't get me on this economic tirade that I have about the concocted vision of value and what value is from an economic definition. It's bullshit. It is highway robbery. It is price gouging. It is everything that is wrong with capitalism. But $356,000 to be considered middle class. So in the state of California, you need a lot more to consider for minimum wage. New York, Texas, Florida, major states, you would have different prices than Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, etc. So that's why I say we go back to a grassroots level and state by state demand minimum wage that's applicable to your state. And then whatever
average that is, minimum wage has to be tied to cost of living, not an arbitrary figure that fucking subcommittee comes up with that will be implemented 10 years from the time they decided to start fucking thinking about it in the first place.
Right. I don't disagree. And
if you can't do that, you shouldn't have federal fucking minimum wage.
Half measures.
Like, really, if you're, I don't like, if you can't fucking get it together on it, then yeah, fucking get rid of it, but have your state fucking tie your minimum wage to cost of living.
That way, every year it changes as cost of living goes up. How hard is that? And the worst part is,
I mean, it shouldn't be. You're on a delay or something. It's weird.
And the main argument has been destroyed so many times that it's going to put small businesses out of work. It's going to cost jobs, etc. It's been shown historically every time minimum wage goes up, the economy flourishes because people could actually buy shit, which means that people can have jobs to construct shit or move shit or bake shit or whatever, and they can in turn sell that and increase their wages. And it's a nice little positive, happy cycle when you increase the minimum wage. Don't fall for the Republican bullshit that it's one of those things where it's, and some Democrats, where if you increase the minimum wage, it's going to put people out of work and it's going to just crash the American economy. That is such a stupid bullshit argument that's been destroyed so many times, but so many old troglodytes that are somehow in Congress and in the White House as we speak still use that argument. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, people are still using. People are still making the argument that an ism is going to save us. People are still making an argument that money and how we use it differently is going to save us. And I mean, I don't see that happening. I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to like buy or work our way out of, self-induced climate catastrophe, whether you believe that's through fucking man-made climate change only, or you believe that geoengineering is a part of that, or you think that we're just living through some rough shit and that eventually we're going to get past it. Like,
that's very hopeful.
Money's not going to get us past that. It's not. if you want to reforest the fucking planet to the point to where it starts acting as its own carbon filtration system again, you're going to have to give up on a lot of enterprise. You're going to have to find a different way to spend your time. You're going to have to find a different value system in general. You're going to have to figure out what humanity really needs, and what humanity really needs probably is not another fucking website that will get you crap that slaves made really fast.
But a drone brings it to you, Steve. Come on.
I can't believe more of those motherfuckers don't get shot down. I mean,
I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time because the squad, if you will, only has one member that's stuck to some version of progressivism. The other three with the voting on this particular bill. And we only went over, ladies and gentlemen, and those that don't prescribe to a binary gender assignment, we only went over a few pieces. We didn't even come close to the entirety of the bill. That's within about 45 minutes of scanning and reporting on what we saw right off the bat. That was one section. That was one subsection of a title of a large.
Oh, hey there, buddy. Oh, that's a great free space. I wonder if that was connection or if that was battery related. I'll probably find out eventually. Oh, hey, there you are. Wow.
Yeah, you disappeared.
Your screen froze. You completely timed out. Your voice is a little out of sync. You had a great freeze face. It was fucking funny as fuck. Yeah, so Jilly Love is in the chat saying we need our neighbors to be well, and I couldn't agree with that more. I think that there's a way that you can do that and advocate a cashless society at the same time, but that a lot of that depends on your ability to grow your own food and how you can grow your own food. I think some serious fucking research needs to be done as to how quickly and how fast you can propagate a permaculture fucking farm in an otherwise drought area. If you fucking bring in the right setup, like, will it fucking then be able to propagate once you get it, to that 2-year point? Like,
I feel like you guys have the right idea, but that's the end stage. I don't think you go from Wall-E style life as it is right now. And yes, I'm talking about Disney movie Wall-E. If you haven't seen it and don't understand the reference, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Going to communities in which
I'll be right back.
You sustain your own communities to ensure that everyone thrives. So I don't say that you guys are wrong for the end stage of what you're proposing. I just don't think we can go from where we're at right this second to that. Human beings just don't have it in them at this point. They want Amazon to deliver everything. They want Netflix to stream all their stuff, or Hulu, or Amazon, or whatever you have. They want quick, easy, and simple solutions. They want things instantly, and they don't want to have to wait on it. To go from that culture to what is being proposed as like overnight or even 10 years from now, I don't think it's probable. I think in smaller numbers, of course. I think if more communities did it, it'd be great. But I think when we're talking about, and I go back to Marxian theory, when you go from agrarian or feudalism to capitalism to socialism / communism, I think it's going to take steps for us to get to that end stage of what you and the viewer were talking about. I don't think it's wrong at all. I just don't think it can be done the way in our lifetimes.
Well, I'm not, I'm not, I guess, vain enough to imagine that would happen in my lifetime, but I think that we could take those steps two at a time if more people started advocating it.
Yeah.
And I think that by focusing on making your immediate surroundings more sustainable, that if you can, as cynical as it is, market or brand that, you can create more sustainable communities, and then you can sort of advocate a really old idea that this is a much larger neighborhood than we had originally thought. Maybe we should help our extended communities become more sustainable too.
Well, some kind of piggyback on what you're talking about. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about contrast of things like watching apocalypse movies and seeing how humankind evolves into self-loving, all for me, every man, woman for themselves type mentality, when it's been disproven by studies in disasters that human beings have a propensity to work to their very limits to ensure that members of their community are provided for. And I don't think that's why I say what you are proposing, it isn't impossible, and it's a beautiful thing, and it is quite possible. I just don't see, unfortunately, with where we're at, it being close to a reality. But I think to get the ball rolling, we need people like yourself to advocate and to teach and to educate those to learn how to do it and how to share it with even more people, and so on and so forth.
So Stephen Mnuchin is going to be making more noise about the fact that the country is, according to him, out of money in September. What does something like that normally trigger?
Recession.
What happens to Republican presidents during recessions? What do they do if they want to stay in office?
Oh, they start a conflict.
Okay.
Am I answering everything correctly so far? Because I'm just answering off history.
Yeah. How rigged does that election have to be in order for the Republican to stay in office?
Hit me one more time with the first part of that question.
How rigged does that election have to be in order for even if they're in the middle of a war, how rigged does the election have to be in order for that Republican to stay in office?
No more rigged than the 2016 election.
Right. This is the most openly rigged Democratic primary this is the most openly rigged primary that I've seen, and I have followed a lot of international politics, and primary politics aren't unique to the United States, but they're pretty unique in general. But what's not unique is we're going to rig this motherfucker, and short of getting caught on camera ballot stuffing, what happened in the 2018 election, particularly in the state of Florida, what happened in 2016 before that, was fucking nothing compared to what's going on right now. And we're just in the let's place our secretaries of state and our key campaign fucking enablers into these positions in these states. But they've fucked with the way that caucuses are ran. They passed around this loyalty oath. They still have super delegates. They ran more candidates than fucking. They really didn't need to run that many candidates. They really didn't. Like oversaturating the field that bad. Kind of stupid, but they set it up to be a contested convention a few years ago. That was coming out of the Unity Conference. Not only that, the blatant media bias against particularly Tulsi Gabbard, but Bernie Sanders again, and Mike Gravel, and the way that they fucked Mike Gravel out of going to that debate when John Delaney has a 10th of the amount of individual donors, when they don't factor in the DFA polls that have Mike Gravel polling anywhere between like 6 and 12% on any given one. They did not include Mike Gravel in polls for a few months. Like, the arbitrary decision, arbitrary. I'm sorry. The necessary decision for the DNC to not include Mike Gravel in the debates underscores what they told you in open court. This is a private organization, and we can pick our candidates in a smoke-filled back room if we goddamn well want to. Fuck off, hippie. I'm not sure what it takes to get fucking, and I think you froze up again, Jay, if you can hear me. I'm not sure what it takes to get more people to come around to the notion that this is a farcical fucking process and you should be looking at ways to organize and activate your community so that you can come together for a non-governmental solution to a government problem that hopefully results in a peaceful transfer of power, if not a overall transfer of power, to the people who actually need to have some fucking agency, have some fucking autonomy, have some economic freedom or freedom from economics in general. Again, we can advocate a cashless society. We can advocate exploration of both inner and outer space together as one. We totally can do that. We've got to figure out a way to expose just how much of a fucking farce this entire process is. Online and offline propaganda is how we defeat the system. We need to educate people. Yeah, I've said the exact same thing when I have. I think the first time that I had Andrew Smith on from Action for Assange, we had a conversation about it's going to be necessary for activism to become low tech as well as high tech. I've advocated fucking old school zines and shit like that. Posters, absolutely, 100%. Fucking mural art, tag art, whatever it takes, dude. Fucking Somerset Bean has free designs that you can download. Free Assange, free Julian Assange, free Chelsea Manning. You can put that shit on what the fuck ever. And I have a spot empty on this fucking keyboard or on this computer for when I can slap one on it as well. I fucking, I wonder where Jason went. That's kind of funny. Poor guy. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe not. Thank God Gravel is a 9/11 truther. That's not what we talked about in MSM. Yeah, 9/11 truth is going to be one of those things where you're never actually going to get the full scope of it. You're never going to get anything more than like what happened with MLK, where they come out fucking decades later and they're like, oh yeah, well, you know, we fucking got him. Sorry about your luck. That may happen. What Mike Gravel did is he questioned the official 9/11 narrative. He encouraged Cynthia McKinney to get on and demand an investigation, an independent investigation, and an investigation of the 9/11 Commission. Self-proclaimed in the know progressive still saying Kamala or Warner. Who, Jilly? Who is saying that? Who is saying Kamala? And are you talking about like Emma Vigland and fucking those fucking idiots over at we're MSNBC with occasional swear words? Uh, yeah, that's where I'm at. Crazy. He definitely he questions the official 9/11 narrative. Wanted to investigate the 9/11 Commission. Um, does know about Tower 7. I've never heard him say anything about Tower 6. Um, I don't know if he's had the opportunity to, although I assume he would if he wanted to, but had to have a talk with Richard Clarke about it. I don't know if you've seen I can't remember the name of it, 9/11 documentary. And it's two like college age dudes and they're fucking interviewing Richard Clarke in the conference room. And the last thing that Richard Clarke says is these guys got away with it. He's referring to the CIA and the Mossad and the FBI, a huge chunk of the FBI. They're we got in here. Oh, some radio. Oh, on K-Mud. That's a shame. I used to listen to K-Mud when I lived up that way. Uh, um, you know what? I haven't had a 9/11 episode on the podcast yet. I haven't done a like full 9/11 stream yet. That will happen. What I'll say is in 2019, 72% of the country knows the news is full of shit. Right? Or that's the percentage of the country willing to admit it in a poll. Yes, the news is full of shit. Yes, I do mean mainstream media. I do mean every outlet that we are exposed to on television or on radio. It's full of shit. Okay, we get that. 72% of the country gets that. They get that. And if you get that and you look at just the last 25 years and you agree that okay, maybe all the presidents were full of shit, and the way that the media covered them seems to be pretty full of shit too. And I guess they did advocate for every war. I guess they did. I guess they cheerlead every. Oh, I guess they did fire all of the voices that were critical of these wars, and they silenced all of the whistleblowers. And people like Gary Webb got murdered for trying to bring to light the CIA's role in cocaine trafficking. Fucking, you start to figure. But the one thing that you think they got right, particularly the George Bush administration, was 9/11. The one thing that they told the unvarnished fucking truth about was September 11th. And that's something that you're going to have to reconcile with yourself, because I can't fucking do that for you. Oh, I think you should wet trim the plants. I do. I think it works out better. Is that light depth? Are you allowed to? I guess you're allowed to answer that. You're talking about your fucking harvest on the chat. Yeah. Was it light depth? Was it indoor? I think you're in Canada, so I'm gonna guess indoor. So that's the thing, Ms. Tree. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. But I think that if you buy the official narrative as told by the George W. Bush White House and the outlets that reported it as fact and the people that jump your shit when you bring it up, I think if you swallow that that's the one thing they got right, then that's something that that you have to deal with. But everybody's got a sticking point. Um, hmm. Okay, cool. Congratulations. Um, where I live, my particular house, at any rate, there is no sun. Like none. Like there's no reason to even bother trying here. And it was busy as fuck, so I didn't get anything planted anywhere else with any sun this year. But that's okay, man. It literally grows around trees around here. So uh yeah, yeah. Um, I this goes back to the Large Hadron Collider and the fucking timeline reset because like when when a film like Idiocracy gets the professional wrestler right, uh we live in a fucking cartoon. We do. Um yeah, it I mean there's lots of great places to grow outdoors here. We're famous for it. What sucks is that legalization was not about what was good for the small farmer or what was good for the local grower. It was about what was good for corporate cannabis. And because of that, there are no legal permits issued for commercial growing here in Santa Cruz County or here in this part of Santa Cruz County. Uh, and that will negatively affect the three towns in the San Lorenzo Valley significantly over the next couple of years. And we're heading right into a fucking economic collapse. And the conditions are being created for, some pretty fucking gnarly Mad Max style shit if we don't figure out how they come together as people. I I don't know what to say. Um, Corporate Canada. Uh, have a great night, Dilly. Thank you for hanging out. Um, I mean, people are doing so much crazy shit with what you can get in terms of yield and what you can do for flavor in strains and fucking like I I do I do enjoy uh like strawberry banana or an occasional fucking purple or something like that. There's some tangerine strains that are fucking really great and ring your bell depending on what they're crossed with. But I saw um this AK-47 and pineapple train wreck up in Trinity County that was fucking like the chunkiest and kept a fair amount, not a fair amount, it kept more of its original fucking clip weight than most strains. Like green crack is up there. It's supposed to be about 30%, 26 to 30 some percent that you keep from the time you clip to the time you dry. This shit, man, it was fucking ridiculous, dude. And Trainwreck, I don't know if Jilly's left or not. It looks like she did. But Trainwreck is an old Humboldt County strain, man. It produces fucking um pretty good sized nuggets, but you combine it with fucking Hawaiian pineapple and it goes go go go, and then you put that with AK-47 and it goes go 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 go, and it's fucking yeah, it's nice and it tastes great. Look at it, yeah, huge buds. It's great. No, Gavin Newsom is not the real life Mayor Quimby. Uh, they, um, Gavin Newsom, if you could liken Gavin Newsom to I mean any fucking character, he's um, definitely more like one of the mobbed up ones. Uh, uh, so look, I went into one of the collectives in Santa Cruz. And I went in with, I had a pound of green crack and it was great. And I brought it in and I talked to the dude and he got all Santa Cruz on me and was like, we can't buy green crack because crack has a negative connotation. So we're not going to sell it. And I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. Peace. And I left and I came back 2 days later and there was a different employee behind the counter. And she goes, what do you got? That looks great. And I said, it's fucking Willie Nelson. And this is years and years ago before Willie Nelson had his own strain or patented his own strain. It's just something that I personally thought was funny at the time. And she was like, oh my God, that kicks ass. Great. How much do you have? Blah, 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 and bought a pound of it right there on the fucking spot. So I get that argument because I've had that argument, but the argument itself proves disingenuous when you don't even fucking care. You just, it's for brand. It's 100% branding and marketing, and you call it a fucking different name. You fucking they're like, okay, sure, great, yeah, I'll take it. I understand that, yes, and absolutely, it fucking it does sound juvenile to name a strain green crack, but we called fucking nitrous hippie crack, and it goddamn was. it, strain names are ridiculous. They're for fucking, let's be honest, fucking high school kids. That's who High Times and the fucking people are naming the strains after. That's who, because they want that fucking they want the energy it generates to get fucking higher end celebrities to be smoking their goddamn brand. This is all a fucking business, dude. And it's a healing herb that you're supposed to fucking use medicinally. Or if you're going to get high to get high, like, I get that shit, dude. You guys have seen me take hella dabs. I'm not fucking trying to step on my own dick here. I'm really not. Enjoy yourself, for sure. But I'm also 41. My brain is fully developed. I'm not, I'm fucking, what I do in excess at this point in my life is nowhere near what I've done in excess previously in my life. This is fucking as straight as I'm ever going to get. Your cat messed up your new, like messed up, like went and fucking destroyed, yarded out. There's no more keyboard anymore. That would be a shame. I've seen the bonsai treatment too. It's pretty cool. What I think works best, even with like light dep or shit like that, is if you get a good screen of green set up. I don't know how this turned into fucking pot growing. Well, I guess I do, but oh, I get it. Okay, we have a couple of keyboards like that. We don't have a cat. We have a now 7-year-old, and he's more destructive than your average kitty cat. We love him, but he is rough on equipment. I get it. I'm rough on equipment too. Yeah, that's a very good point, Dingo. Thought your cat would have gone after your mouse, not the keyboard. I think Mystery has a very confused cat. It does give you a nice button. It gives you a lot more control, and it gives you you run into less opportunity for things like mites or bugs or anything like that nature. You can fucking usually don't get bud rot unless you just got a really bad case of it in your neighborhood. If you screen it green right, there's enough fucking separation. Yeah, it's a really, it's time consuming to set up, and it's fucking kind of a pain in the ass to get in there and trim initially. But once you get it down and you get it right, and you're golden. Lupinator, fuck off. All right. All right. Sweet. That's a great kitty cat name. Trump admin saying we'll get to the moon by 2024. George Bush said that too. George H. Bush said that. Look, I believe that if we can go to Mars, chances are we can make it to the moon. I don't know. I'm not Eddie Bravo. I don't entertain the flat Earth thing. I'm not going to. Whether or not we actually went to the moon or the moon landing was real, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we've been to the moon, but happy 50th anniversary, Apollo 11, I suppose. You know why we want to go to the moon? Is it so we can extract minerals from it or find rare minerals by which to power our security and behavior collars that the oligarchs are going to make us wear after the next economic collapse? Or maybe cell phone batteries. Sorry, NSA. Oh, why do we want to go to the moon? Because it's one of those things that unify us as a people. We all get to gather around the television and forget about our troubles for a moment and ignore even more than we normally do. I mean, that's what the Olympics are. That's what, like, it's bread and circuses, man. It's just a different kind of circus. That's why I hey Jay, so your phone just melted out on you, cut out on you. So okay, man, I don't know if the next wars will be over mineral rights on the moon, but back in my gutter hippie days, the talk in the 90s was there will be wars of a scale pretty much continually, but our next giant war will be over water. And that was the theory. Jason, if you can pop back in, feel free to do so. If your phone isn't fucking whatever, the link should still be good. If you need me to throw it somewhere, let me know and I'll do that. I don't think asteroid mining will be a thing, at least not by people. I think that we will have to go ahead and build that robot army before we can really make that happen. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really do. All the cards are on the table for a rare earth mineral race. And when we're in any sort of race, whether it's space or arms or fucking even the goddamn Olympics, we fucking basically use that as a fucking pretext to start wars or otherwise destabilize countries and disenfranchise workers, people of all colors, creeds, persuasions, but always the black and brown ones first, because that's how America fucking operates. So Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are spending a lot of money in space for the same reason that George Soros and the Koch brothers are teaming up for world peace. It's because there's some serious shit about to happen. These people are on the forefront of it. Some of them are likely, like Elon Musk, responsible for it. Elon Musk is supposed to go live with Neuralink by 2020. I don't know if you guys know what Neuralink is or not, but Neuralink is the fucking piece of electronic equipment that connects your brain to a goddamn computer. Like the Borg, but early tech. If the military isn't already currently employing soldiers that have Neuralink technology to make them more efficient killing machines, that is right around the corner. I can't say whether or not that there are currently, but look, dude, if Elon Musk has the tech to do that, DARPA has the tech to do that. That's just how that goes. We're so unpragmatic and it's killing us. We're so unprepared. And so many of us have been so well indoctrinated. Like, it's the one thing that the fucking doomsday prepper folk and the fucking far out, like, right-wing militia people have fucking right is, like, how to stay alive when the shit hits the fan. And that's what bugs me, because those people shouldn't be the ones left holding all the cards when shit hits the fan. So as Andrew Smith has said on this show, and as I've said on this show, fucking, if you have the ability to, if you are legally allowed to possess one, please go out and buy a firearm and learn how to use it. Please pick up equipment that is going to allow you to purify water. Please go pick up fucking Everstrike matches. Please fucking learn how to or get some way to dehydrate food. Like, this shit, like, I hope you never have to use it. But you should have it. Black Mirror preparing it. So look, man, there's a lot to be said. Okay, I mean, there's even articles in like regular media and fucking that are like, so here's all the things that have actually happened that were written into Black Mirror. And if you man, was it Eli? But I can't remember. There's a particular cartoonist has a really interesting style, and he's fucking incredibly anti-Nazi in general. At any rate, and this great fucking cartoon of Donald Trump fucking a pig, and we've got micro drones. Like, Gizmodo wrote this fucking article back in like 2012 or some shit about micro assassin drones that have a little fucking 2 or 3 grain charge, and they fly into someone, and upon impact it shoots the 2 or 3 grain charge and a bullet through your fucking brain matter, rattles around in there. Neat. That's the thing that happens. We're letting the wrong people dictate where the technology goes. You talk to anyone who works in like biotech or biochemical engineering, and it's all about all the money goes to whatever can kill people fastest. And that's just not where we need to be focusing our energy. Oh no, you keep talking. It's cool, dude. We've been acting any loud. Yeah. So I mean, laws in general, especially drug laws, and we know this from Harry Anslinger, who was Nixon's drug czar. those drug laws were designed to prevent fucking left-wing organizing from taking place. So we got the heroin for the blacks. We got the dope for the hippies, is how he put it. I think he may have put a little bit more coarse than that. But that shit doesn't change, man. I know they got rid of Jeff Sessions, and Jeff Sessions had some draconian views about cannabis and drugs in general and fucking asset forfeiture specifically. That's one thing the Supreme Court got right, was striking that bit down. But Bill Barr, Bill Barr's a hardline right winger from the fucking CIA. Let's go invade Southern American countries, South American countries, and Central American countries so we can establish a drug trade and use it to fucking punish American citizens. Like, he's going to be anti-drug. Until we can figure out a way to de-incentivize the prison industrial complex into picking up a different line of work, we're probably going to have right-wing attorney generals that want to enact harsh drug laws. That's why you have to make your local community sustainable. And if you live in a state that has fucking medical cannabis, fight against your legalization until you can get a fucking patient's bill of rights, until you can get a fucking consumer's bill of rights. Do that shit first, man. People went about this the whole wrong way because it was supposed to go that way because it's corporate fucking cannabis. Jesus. That's kind of what I was talking about, Chris. Was people who thought that Trump was going to legalize cannabis. And I'll be honest, man, I was one of those people who thought that he would probably legalize it on his way out. I still think he may have. It looks like he's getting in some serious shit with an economic collapse or whatever. However, Mueller is able to lie his ass off and spin a narrative for the Democrats in the Senate that are going to be grilling him. Nadler's already out there saying there's proof in the Mueller report that Donald Trump committed high crimes and misdemeanors, and Robert Mueller is going to lay it all out, or we're going to get it out of Mueller when he comes in. He's supposed to come in this week. He's already been rebuked by Judge Friedrich, who said you can't push this fiction that the Internet Research Agency is the Kremlin's arm of fucking election hackery or thievery or fucking it'll be weird to see what happens with that. Yes, Nadler's a piece of shit. Of course he's a piece of shit. He's a fucking opportunist and fucking peddler of conspiracy theories for fucking profit. He's fundraising off this shit. Of course he's a fucking... I mean, you'd be hard-pressed not to, and I don't know when you got here, Dingo, but the whole reason we went on tonight is because 3/4 of the squad just stood behind the CIA on a House bill that expands immensely who falls under what kinds of protections regarding CIA agents. Yeah, absolutely. Portugal has proven better on the issue. All aspects of abuse and treatment have improved, and they've saved tons of cash. Yeah. And Portugal, if you don't know, just they decriminalized, I believe, if not legalized, all their drugs. The squad member that did not vote for this bill was Rashida Tlaib. And Tulsi Gabbard did not vote on the bill. Ro Khanna voted for the bill. And again, AOC and Presley and Ilhan Omar all voted for this bill. The bill total was 397 for, 31 against, 7 total Democrats, I believe is the number I read, but I could be fucking wrong about that. So if somebody wants to check and then check me, please do that. But I believe it was only 7 Democrats that voted against it. I glanced at it on the way to set this up. I'm not 100% on that. Omar, yes, did vote for it. So that's what I'm talking about, is taking drug enforcement out of the hands of law enforcement, or fucking dealing with drugs in general, whether it's abuse or sales, like taking law enforcement out of that equation. If and we're going to have them, and we are, and people are going to abuse them, and they are. We should be able to educate people about that in a way that doesn't employ fucking fear tactics. We should be able to have professionals who understand treatment and addiction. We should not have, oh, I've got my 2-year chip and I need a job. Give me a fucking job at a rehab. Let me counsel people while I'm on step 4. You know, like, you don't have, Janice is a addiction care facility here in Santa Cruz, and I really need to look back into this because they treat their workers like shit, dude. And if you're going to have barely competent to highly competent mental health professionals, addiction care specialists, people who understand and know how to deal with whether you think it's a disease or a learning disability, or however I fucking you need to realign your perspective, however you want to fucking look at it, dude. Yeah, that's personal, but you should be able to have a healthcare professional that knows how to have a conversation with you about that. You should be able to have a mentor, not a sponsor, in this process. You should be able to talk about it with someone who isn't themselves, like, I don't know, let's say with someone who's fucking uh has not themselves sought out or been healed. You shouldn't be fucking your healthcare professional shouldn't have more fucking issues than you, is what I'm trying to get at. Or if they do, they need to be able to fucking uh be in treatment at the same time. And in most fucking addiction treatment facilities, that's not the goddamn case. Well, yeah, I mean, there's also that. And by that, I mean, let's make life, you dingo ate me, baby. Let's make life easier for regular people, and hard drug use will stop. And it won't stop, but it will decrease. And it will decrease to a level where you can have competent addiction counseling therapy brought to you by people who are trained professionals who have specializations. Um, yeah, but there's less of an incentive to do that when there's so much goddamn money to be made at every single end of it. There was an episode of, I want to say, Person of Interest, where there's a CIA officer that is a nefarious drug trafficker, and they fucking catch the guy, and he's like, well, we tried to fight it. We fucking realized pretty early it was easier if we just became the world's biggest drug dealer, and that way we might be able to control it a little bit, stem the flow towards our enemies if we needed to. And I mean, sometimes lines get put out in film and TV, and it could be in a show of that nature, that's just in order to get people to accept that as a reality, or declaring intent, so that you're not, so that when you go through with it, nobody can be surprised because you did come out and say so. I think it's a question that people should ask themselves, because the more you look at the drug war and the more that you look at drug trafficking, both internationally and in the US, what it appears to be is that the CIA gets, processes, and transports the drugs out of country and into the United States using Customs Border Patrol and the DEA as safe passage, so they can then hand it to another CIA agent who can give it to an FBI agent who can sell it to an undercover cop who can then use that to fucking find mid and low level dealers in order to fill jails with, so that they can fucking make money again on both ends of fucking the entire scam. And until we find a way to decouple drugs, drug use, drug abuse, treatment from law enforcement, we're never going to be able to break that cycle without shattering the system as it exists and starting from fucking whatever ashes those may be. Yeah, Rick Ross is a fake rapper. He absolutely is. Rick Ross is a fake motherfucking rapper, and the real Rick Ross is Freeway Rick Ross of goddamn fucking Los Angeles, California. And he was one of the world's biggest cocaine dealers, and he was getting supplied by the CIA. And he's been open about that in a handful of different interviews. If you haven't seen them, you should totally check out Freeway Rick Ross. Freeway Rick. God, that's fun to say. Totally look into that shit. Andrew, addiction is fueled by isolation, and the war on drugs inflames that process. The for-profit prisons have a minimum occupancy requirement in their contracts. You are absolutely right about that. I am nearing 3 years sans alcohol. I'm pretty stoked on that. I am never going to use my show as a vehicle to examine why I drank. Nor am I going to boast about any sobriety their form of sober twin powers, form of no longer drunk, Santa Cruz sober, still smoking weed. I don't know, man. One day, somebody that I did go to AA with is, because I went to AA for about a year. Not I guess religiously would be the right word, or not as a religious person. But I did go for about a year. It was a trip, man. It really was. AA is a trip. It's fucking crazy, dude. The entire thing is set up to make you relapse. Like, you've got to be over your shit before you walk in the door and just kind of like figure out what there is to take away from it in just an overall fucking perspective point of view, and go and find different perspectives while you're actively involved in that organization in order to get out of there with any semblance of sobriety intact, especially without trading it for a brand new addiction like fucking Jesus or knitting. Gabor Mate, you know what? I've read some of them. I think he's fucking brilliant. A lot of that shit is, it's a variation on a theme that you can have it at any music festival campground with the right amount of fucking psychedelics and people that read Be Here Now when they were 15 years old. Not to dismiss Gabor Mate, even though it probably really sounded like I did that. Again, he's a brilliant motherfucker, man. And there's a lot of wisdom in what he says. And what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that it echoes a lot of insights that you find when you go a little bit deeper into the literature. Okay, look. If Zeus is the king of gods, but Odin was also the king of gods, and Odin said that he would destroy the ice giants, and there are no ice giants, I would argue that Odin bigger god energy than Zeus. Oh, real quick, I do have an announcement to make, and I really hope that I won't be interfering with anybody's wedding that weekend, because Pat the Burner and Jason Carney and maybe one or two other people are going to come down. Second weekend of August, we're going to do a live roundtable from either in the studio or out back in the studio, so that we can smoke while we're doing it. That should be a crap ton of fun and absolute silliness. Do 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 do. You missed the part about the ice giants. That would be a shame. Yeah, Sunday, second week of August. I'm not going to be, I think I said this already last stream, I'm not going to be around next Saturday morning. I am not entirely sure what the week brings. If anyone has any additional questions or anything you want to throw at me, now would be a premium time for that. And if there's anybody that's in the chat that doesn't usually comment, fucking throw something crazy out if you choose. Did you find out about Rick Ross from the Sam Tripoli episode with Rick Ross? Was that a recent discovery, Chris? I knew about Rick Ross. I knew about Rick Ross from some fucking like old LA rap and fucking old Oakland rap and shit. How's it going, Ed? There was something that I saw. Not really the only the only Epstein update that I can think of off of the top of my head is that 2000 document dump that was court ordered to be issued is going to be issued this week, and I believe that drops on the 24th. I'm not 100% on that date, but the day that those documents come out, it's going to be a field day for I guess all of us. Um, but supposedly in this document release, it was a fucking complaint against Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, I'm freezing up? Well, that's shitty. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Maybe. All right. Anywho, uh, a complaint against Ghislaine Maxwell, and it's supposed to name the quote is prominent figures. How many prominent figures there are, who they may be, we only get to speculate at this point. But if Ghislaine Maxwell is involved, we know for a fucking fact that that's going to involve the Clinton family. She is all over the place in pictures with them. She was on the guest list at Chelsea's wedding. She is, I guess, known, but not through a legal process yet, as one of Epstein's madams or recruiters. So we get 2,000 pages of documents that are supposed to contain some pretty damning information about some very famous and fucking well-connected people. And how much of that gets reported on? I mean, you can guarantee that we'll be doing it. You can guarantee that I'll be fucking getting into this as much as possible. And the sources that I cite on this are going to be people who have not recently started talking about Jeffrey Epstein. I I think in light of the dots that Whitney Webb connected in her report and what she's going to talk about in her next part of that report, that she is already detailed more or less in full on the interview that I did with her. That familiar names are going to pop up, names that we can connect to the story that Whitney has been building, and that includes the Bromstein family, because Samuel Bromstein's, I guess, granddaughter or daughter was just arrested over the NXIVM sex cult thing. Like, she just went down. And she's supposed to be at the head of it. Now, you got to remember, while we're going through all this Epstein stuff, as we found out, Epstein is just one arm of this entire many different, I guess, compartments, many different separate entities of sex trafficking cults that Roy Cohn had established over the course of like 35 years as a key figure in Washington, and would have gone on longer if he hadn't have died from AIDS-related complications. But this, I get the fact that Roy Cohn was able to set up several different organizations of sex trafficking cults means that while we're going through Epstein, it's possible that Epstein is a public sacrifice in order to take the light off of the groups that are still operating. It's possible that we're going to be able to fucking see some public figures, figurative heads roll over this. It's possible that there's enough invested in this organization that they can afford to lose some of their key players, particularly now that those key players are in their 60s and 70s and 80s. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm putting down, but it's something that we need to consider, that there's been a sanctioning of this. And if you guys think that I'm talking crazy, let me know. Thank you, Dingo. Whitney, it's fascinating because it was all Whitney Webb, really. I mean, she's fucking, she knows her shit, dude. When she gets into an article and this is what's great about independent media, and this is why you should support independent media, when a journalist, a real journalist, has the freedom and the resources to dig into a story, they can produce work on par with, or at least in the same, with the same journalistic integrity that Whitney Webb demonstrates in like pretty much everything she fucking digs into. Elizabeth Voss is the same way. Susie Dawson is the same way. If you haven't, you need to read Susie Dawson's series on defending Julian Assange. It is one of the most, like, it's another one of those things. People have been telling Whitney for like days now, you need to turn this into a book. Same with Susie Dawson. She needs to turn her work that she's been doing on Julian Assange into a fucking book. And Andrew, if you're still watching, I don't know. I don't know if you've been able to get a hold of Susie for any of the Free Assange vigils or any of that kind of stuff. But if you are in communication with her, please, be another one of those voices that suggests that she writes a book on that. You know what, dude? My buddy George, Puerto Rican American, grew up on the East Coast, lived in New York, coached basketball in New Jersey. Now he lives down in Southern California. Yeah, Susie Dawson. He was telling me that friends of his wrote for The Wire, and that they were getting pressured by the mayor of Baltimore, by the police chief of Baltimore, by some people in the FBI that were in a branch in Baltimore, to fucking stop writing so accurately what was going on within city government. They had a leaker or four who worked for the fucking mayor's office who was helping them write that shit. It got yanked because it was hitting too close to home. That's the story that I'm told. Whether or not that's 100%, I can't say. I wasn't there. I try not to. I'm going to be upfront about that being hearsay, is what I'm getting at. But that's the story that I was told. It fucking makes for a good story. Yes, please do that. I would love to have Susie Dawson on this show. It looks like I'm also going to have Graham Elwood on this upcoming week. Him and Ron are getting ready to go off towards Vegas for the Progressive Comedy Tour. So I'm going to have Graham on to talk about that and whatever the fuck else we get into. Here's the thing, Chris, the new guard is already there. These guys are in their 60s. They've been, Jeffrey Epstein was introduced to people as this billionaire fucking hedge fund guy, and groomed in the 80s, and really came into being in the early 90s. It's now 2019. I mean, that's 25 years. Yeah, the new guard's already there. They're already established. They're the guard. This is, shit's getting too hot. We've got however many different arrest some sex traffickers that can't be fucking quieted. And now R. Kelly got hemmed up in this shit. And you know R. Kelly's been a part of this shit. It's fucking R. Kelly, dude. Oh, The Wire. Okay, that's fucking kick ass, dude. Yeah. I know a lot of people that were viscerally affected by that show. And I guarantee you that's why it's no longer on the air. But it's about as close as a realistic picture of what's going on with the prison system, with how Black and brown people are treated, with how there's a fucking a clear division of who appears to have the power and who really wields the power. It's yeah. I have heard that Bob Kraft is going to get hemmed up in some of this, but I don't know for sure. He's set to testify on some other thing. I do know that that in addition to Epstein's thorough CIA ties, that Whitney is going to talk about some more of the Mossad related aspects of who got to get what, when, where out of Epstein, and who's profiting off of that. We can draw a pretty straight line from the national crime syndicate to the highest levels of government in the United States. And it seems that because of the ability for dual citizenship within the national crime syndicate, it is not out of the realm of likelihood that the Israeli government and their intelligence services would not also be part and parcel of this trafficking empire. I think you would be foolish to think otherwise. That's a different Giselle, Ed. But I don't know. Should probably stop rambling. You guys kick ass. I appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for comments. If you dig the show, tell a friend about it. We're going to have to find a different way to do live streams with multiple guests here in a couple of weeks. Google Hangouts is going away. I do not have fast enough internet to run OBS software. That shit is above my pay grade. So we're gonna have to work on something, because at this point it's almost easier to do like 2 live streams a month from the studio with somebody. I fuck whatever. I don't know. You guys kick ass, man. You know where to find me on Twitter. It's at Slow News Day Show. You can email the show with questions or suggestions, or if you have a guest or would like to be a guest, slownewsdaypodcast@gmail.com. I am Steve Boykinen. Good luck to us all.